He's an NBA superstar, a six-time All-Star who signed $100 million contracts and become one of the league's biggest names.
God, for real, it's so fun. I got my joy back, as some would say.
But before Jimmy Butler was hitting game-winning shots, he was a 13-year-old kid with nowhere to go. Living in one of Texas's richest suburbs, his mother looked at him and said the words that would change everything. "I don't like the way you look. You gotta go." Just like that, Jimmy Butler was homeless. His dad had abandoned the family, and because Jimmy looked just like the man who left, his mother couldn't stand the sight of him.
Everything I had to go through to get to where I am that made me who I am.
A teenager, kicked out with nowhere to go, facing brutal Texas heat with no plan and nobody by his side. This wasn't a story about a kid dreaming of the NBA. This was a story about a kid just trying to survive. But how exactly did a kid who was homeless end up becoming an NBA superstar? The immediate reality was brutal. Jimmy bounced from friend's house to friend's house, a constant cycle of couch surfing. But on the days when there was no couch available, he had no choice but to roam the streets. Living like that forces you to make decisions based on survival, not passion. And for Jimmy, that meant a complete shift in his life. He was a Texas kid, so football was everything. In fact, he played both football and basketball in high school, but football meant practicing under the scorching sun. He was small, and he knew he'd get crushed, so he made a practical, almost desperate choice. As he later said, "I wasn't a fan of the sun, wasn't a fan of the heat. Plus, I was tiny. I'm gonna move inside to the AC, shoot at the orange rim." Basketball wasn't his first love, it was shelter. It was a cool, indoor place where he could escape the reality waiting for him outside. He signed up for basketball at Tomball High School, and for the first time, he found a sense of belonging. It was more than just a game, it was a structure, a team, a reason to be somewhere. And it was there he met his teammate, Jordan Leslie. Their friendship started on the court, but it slowly became Jimmy's lifeline. Jordan would offer a place to stay for a night, which turned into a week, which turned into a month.
Just one more night. It just kind of developed into a week and then a month.
It was a slow, organic process of being welcomed into a family. Jimmy finally felt supported. He finally felt loved.
People say you just take a child you don't even know. And he's brought more to us than ever we could bring to him.
And with that foundation, the goal shifted. Making the NBA wasn't just a far-off dream anymore. He was already showing flashes of the player he could become, averaging over 19 points and 8 rebounds per game by his senior year. The talent was there. The NBA wasn't just a fantasy. It was a mission. He couldn't let his family down after they took a chance on him. The pressure was immense, but for the first time, it was a pressure fueled by hope instead of fear. That mission would soon lead him to Tyler Junior College, where he'd face a whole new level of competition. This was far from the bright lights of Division I basketball. This was the grind. But it was on that junior college court where Jimmy Butler had his first real moment of belief. He remembers it clearly.
And I was like, damn, I scored 33 in, college, JUCO, but college. I was like, shit, man, maybe it's not a fluke. I come out the next game, I was like, man, all right, let's see if last game was a fluke.
Right.
37. And I was like, oh, maybe I can hold my own.
He was dominating, but that dominance came with a harsh reality check. Doing this at the junior college level meant very little to the scouts he needed to impress. He knew if he wanted to get to the NBA, he had to compete against the best. And that's when the doubts started to creep back in. Because right there on his own team, he had competition. He had a star teammate, Joe Fultz, who was already committed to a major university, Marquette, and was attracting all the attention. Jimmy found himself in a brutal position. Fighting his own teammate for the spotlight, every possession mattered. If you passed the ball, you might not get it back because everyone was trying to get to the next level.
And I was like, man, can I really compete with the best of these guys? JUCO was tough, like dog eat dog. Man, if you pass the ball, you might not get the ball. Like everybody trying to get to the next level.
The gap between where he was and where he needed to be felt massive. He was proving he could score, but was he proving he could win a spot against elite competition? The dream felt further away than ever, even as he was putting up big numbers. The shelter he found in basketball was now putting him through a different kind of fire. But then a lifeline appeared from an unexpected place. Marquette's assistant coach, Buzz Williams, had been coming to games to watch Jimmy's star teammate. But Buzz saw something else. He saw the fight in Jimmy. He saw the raw potential that was buried under the junior college competition. And he made Jimmy a promise.
He comes up to me and he's like, you know what, if I ever had a head coaching job, like, you would be a player that I would want to come, you to come play for me.
Jimmy had no reason to trust this coach he barely knew. But Buzz had been honest with him throughout the process. And in a life built on instability, that honesty mattered. Then the call came. Buzz Williams got the head coaching job at Marquette, and Jimmy was the first person he called. The offer was there. It was a huge leap of faith. Most recruits visit the campus, meet the team, see the facilities. Jimmy did none of that. He trusted Buzz's word. As he said, without even visiting, I went to Marquette. He was finally at a Division I program, a real step toward his dream. But the moment he arrived, the reality of that gamble hit him hard. The competition wasn't just better, it was on another level. And waiting for him was Wesley Matthews, an established star already on the NBA's radar. Coach Buzz knew exactly what he was doing. He knew Jimmy's story, and he knew the level of toughness required to make it. So he designed a plan to forge that toughness, whether Jimmy wanted it or not. The workouts were brutal. 5:30 a.m. sessions, extra drills, constant pressure designed to break him. Buzz pushed him harder than anyone else, and it worked. Jimmy hit a wall. The distance from home, the relentless pressure, the feeling of being constantly tested, it was too much. He wanted to quit. He wanted to transfer. He was homesick and doubted if he could handle this new world. But Buzz Williams admitted his method was extreme.
Because I was extremely difficult in coaching him because I thought that he could evolve into being a guy towards the end of the year that could help us.
It was tough love with a specific purpose. To build a player who could not just survive, but thrive when his moment finally came. And that moment was closer than he thought. While Jimmy was being pushed to his limit in practice, Wesley Matthews was having the season of his life on the court. Every day, Jimmy was forced to raise his game just to compete in practice. And every day, Wesley was proving he was ready for the NBA. Then Wesley graduated, leaving the starting spot at Marquette wide open. The opportunity Jimmy had been grinding for was finally there, but instead of confidence, he felt pressure. Not a single NBA team was looking at him. He had 1 year, his senior year, to prove he belonged. It was now or never. That's when Wesley Matthews came back. Now an NBA player, he pulled Jimmy aside and said, "Yo, you can play in the league." That validation flipped a switch. It wasn't just a dream anymore, it was real. That season, Jimmy played with a new fire. He became the guy. He hit game-winning shots, he averaged over 15 points per game, he carried Marquette through March Madness and proved he could shine under pressure. So he declared for the 2011 NBA draft. But declaring and getting drafted are two different things. The night of the draft was pure agony. Pick after pick went by. Kyrie Irving, Kemba Walker, Klay Thompson, Kawhi Leonard, until finally, with the 30th and final pick of the first round, the Chicago Bulls made their selection.
With the 30th pick in the 2011 draft, the Chicago Bulls select Jimmy Butler from Marquette University.
Tears, relief, vindication. I proved myself right, he said. I could care less about proving them wrong, from the streets of town ball to the NBA. But as he would soon learn, making the league was just the beginning. Making the NBA was the dream, but staying there was the challenge. Jimmy wasn't a lottery pick with guaranteed minutes. He had to earn everything. He built his identity on things he could control: relentless defense, unmatched toughness, and clutch performances. He evolved from a role player on the Chicago Bulls into an all-star, then into a leader. His hunger, his intensity, his no excuses mentality, all rooted in the pain that shaped him. His story became proof that your circumstances don't define your future. He didn't just become an NBA star. He became a symbol of unbreakable will. Every time he steps on the court, he carries that 13-year-old kid inside him, the one who had nowhere to go but refused to give up. Jimmy Butler's journey from homelessness to NBA stardom is the ultimate story of resilience. It shows that the hardest circumstances can forge the strongest character. His story isn't about forgetting where he came from. It's about using that past as a foundation for everything he's built. He proved that with enough determination, you can overcome anything. His legacy is a reminder that it's not where you start, but the fight inside you that truly matters.